Well, we have breaking news out of college hoops where Villanova has hired Maryland's Kevin Willard as its next head coach. Willard spent the past 3 years in College Park leading the Terps to the Sweet 16 this season before losing to 1-seed Florida. Prior to that, Willard spent 12 seasons with Seton Hall, leading the Pirates to the NCAA tournament 5 times. He'll now return to the Big East, taking over a Villanova team that has not made the big dance since Jay Wright retired in 2022. Willard will replace Kyle Neptune, who was fired after 3 seasons and a 54-47 record. For much more on this, we welcome you inside our CBS Sports HQ studios. I'm Jordan Giorgio alongside Coach Avery Johnson. Great to see you, Coach. You know, this is not a huge surprise. It seems to be a story that has been brewing for a while, as Coach Willard was asked about this multiple times throughout the course of the tournament. But how did this all come together?
It started during the season because Coach Willard was complaining consistently about the lack of support from Maryland's administration. There was a situation that happened during Christmas where they were playing in New York and they wanted to spend an extra night in New York, and that wasn't granted by the administration. So that thing started to spiral out of control. He was complaining to the athletic director, who's now at SMU. So I just think the lack of funding, the lack of support to really take this basketball program to the next level, especially in this NIL era, was primarily the reason for Coach Willard departing. Yeah,
and I can understand that, as he probably viewed this Villanova opportunity, this job, as a better fit because of everything that might come with it that Maryland does not. What went wrong with Kyle Neptune, who, of course, now Willard replaces after he was fired after 3 seasons at Villanova, and why do you think Willard will be a better fit here?
Well, first with Kyle Neptune, who's a great guy, a really good young basketball coach. It's hard to follow a legend. Just think about the person who's going to have to follow Coach Greg Popovich at San Antonio whenever he decides to retire. It's almost like you should follow the guy that follows the guy. Yeah. So, but Coach Neptune, you know, again, tough spot. He didn't make it to any NCAA tournaments. Unfortunately, he couldn't get the right transfers in to help jumpstart that program, but it was going to be an uphill climb. Coach Neptune will be better in his next head coaching opportunity, hopefully soon. But Coach Willard now is back in the Big East. He was an assistant coach with Rick Pitino, coached at Iona. He's back in the league where it's a basketball school. It's not, you're not in the ACC where football, Maryland is trying to jumpstart their football program. He's at a basketball school where in Philadelphia they're going to pour millions and millions and millions of dollars into this NIL situation. And I guarantee you this, Jordan, there's probably a number that he's been guaranteed that donors and sponsors are going to jumpstart this program from an NIL standpoint. So he's probably already been pre-approved in terms of a number where he can really get started in year 1, because Villanova, they don't want to wait. They want to make it back to the Sweet 16 and the Elite 8 and compete for championships. Having a 3-year drought from the tournament, that's a big deal for Villanova.
Most definitely, and it seems if that is the case, then Willard is happy and gets all the pieces that he kind of needs. So if you're a Wildcats fan, are you buying high on this? What would you grade this hire?
I think this is a B+ hire.
Okay, yeah,
still a good hire. It's just real unfortunate how Coach Willard left.
Played out.
Yeah, how he played out in Maryland. These kids are pouring their hearts out, and you get this breaking news that he's already accepted the job when you're coaching a team, you know, in the Sweet 16. It's kind of difficult. And the team really flamed out in the second half of that game. You know, I know they had the crab five. They didn't have much of a bench, but that had to be on the mind of these young players when you know your coach is already checked out and accepted another job at an elite program.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question to you about the psyche of those players, because obviously coming off that loss to Florida, you know, I'm not sure how he could have handled it and avoided that situation, but you know, it has to have shook them up a little bit.
And it's different from the McNeese situation with Coach Will Wade.
Right.
You know, it's before the tournament started that the news broke that he was going to take the North Carolina State job. He said, look, I was up front with my players. I told them what the deal is, and when I told them what I was going to do, I basically said, who's coming with me? And the guys that are not coming with me that's going to stay, we've already searched and found my replacement at McNeese, which is true, and or guys who want to jump in the portal and try to move on to a Power 5 school. So the way Will Wade did it, I thought was first class all the way, very transparent. I'm a little bit disappointed how this played out with Coach Willard, especially for his players. That you're deep in the NCAA tournament, and somebody should have kept that confidential.
Most definitely. Well, we will leave it there. Coach Avery Johnson joining us here, CBS Sports HQ, as we cover the breaking news that Villanova has found their guy. As former Maryland head coach Kevin Willard is back in the Big East. You can catch more college basketball talk on the Ion College Basketball Podcast. You know the drill. Scan that QR code on your screen and watch and listen wherever you get your podcasts.